What is up, fam? I'm Samuel Zimmerman. I am a developer, artist, musician, music producer, among many other things, to be honest with you. A multidisciplinary artist. And I'm working with code because that's the 2026 thing to do as an artist, in my opinion. Like, this is the kind of domain where you have the most creative freedom right now, that makes the most sense, that is the most future-proof, etc. So a lot of people started to work with code. A lot of people started to work with agentics for a good reason. They became fascinatingly good for people who are able to control them and to set boundaries for them especially. You have to work with them in a way, but you are working with them as a tool. So we're not like chatting with them or getting angry on them or anything like that because they're merely a tool. We're not getting angry on the hammer and we're not getting angry on an AI because most likely it's our fault or was our laziness to didn't instruct it right. Of course, AIs can do and will do mistakes, etc. But if they have guardrails, then mostly they are safe to work with. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Claude. I finally came around to try the paid version. I already used the version that is not paid for quite a while. And how I used it, because like you may ask yourself, like, wait a second, that version is like super limited in a way. And you're right, it is. But ultimately, it is usable if you're really smart in prompting and if you're using it more as what I call a meta agent or an overseer agent, so not an exec, not an executive agent. And then this is how I used it basically. So I would like work with other platforms and do the actual exec work, the actual executions, and also many times planning and other tasks. And then where's my coffee? There's my coffee. And then have a Claude agent who's just ingesting and producing reports mostly, because when I started to do that type of thing, then that was the big new thing of Claude, was the presentation, to be honest with you. Right now, we are a lot wiser. We are a lot more knowledgeable about how Claude works since the harness leaked, or a harness leaked. We understood it's basically just prompt injection mostly. So code is not the silver bullet. It's not the magic kind of trick for people. It's actually quite sloppy in a way. So I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of things. And this intro is probably the worst intro that was ever created on YouTube, because I didn't start off with what it actually the video is about and came with that way later. But nevertheless, so what are the weaknesses of Claude? The weaknesses of Claude are greed, first of all. Intense greediness of the people who are selling it to you, or at least it feels like that, because it's extremely limited. If you're on that plan for like $20 in Europe, it costs 20 euros around, like I think 21 or something with tax, which is another thing that I really don't appreciate. Like, you know, putting out your price as 19 euros and then you're like at the cash and then they're saying like, it's 21.48. In Europe, usually we don't do that shit. It's like, that's the price, it must include the tax. That's at the side, that's really unimportant. It's heavily limited. You are interacting with a severely token limited system that is, it's not even on the same planet if you compare it with GPT from token amount. I'm not talking about token count, like how much context an agentic is able to hold in. I'm talking about how many tokens in total can you use. In Claude, it's absolutely laughable. Really laughable. And Claude normally, you know, it's an embedded system. It's embedded into the OS if you want to. and it has access to the source. So that alleviates a lot of the constant, here, I will give you the context again because I'm scared that you will forget it, phenomena that ChatGPT was really struggling from, where the work was mostly like, if you're working in chat mode and not in codecs with GPT, you constantly would have to feed it the source material again and again and again and again, and always renaming it. Otherwise, it would also potentially ignoring it, right? Like you would give it a source, you would do some work in the same chat, you would then talk to it again and give it a source. And if that source zip has the same name, then it might just ignore it, despite the fact that the checksum should be different. So it's like, those things, you really need to know them. And yeah, I'm in a big implementation, in a big project right now, okay? Like, huge shebang-a-bang, and it's about basically licensing, shop system, server-client communication in a project, in a really advanced C++ project with around like 420 files or something like that of ginormous code files in some cases. Like, it's a really large-scale project. So the client is big. The server is highly complex, of course, because, this is dealing with cryptographic and lots of things that are high stakes, and this is all about like a commercial system that has to be super safe, etc. So you really have to be careful with those systems, of course. It's all done on a staging server. It's all done in isolation. There is very minimal work on the client itself. There is like all due diligence has been done correctly. You know what I mean? Like all I's have been dotted and all boxes have been checked. I don't know if that is a sensible way to say that, but this all has been done. And now it's about implementation, and like there is like so many limits in Claude. There is not only the limit of the daily limit, which is ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. Like, it doesn't matter how or, in which way you're working, you will immediately run into limitations. Immediately. So Claude is really trying to empty your pockets. This is their business model. Is give me all your money, then I give you a highly prompt injected model. Because that's what Claude actually is. Like, we need to understand there has been a lot of hype surrounding Claude recently. And you need to understand that maybe 80 to 90% of people who are talking about agentic AI have no fucking clue about what they are talking about. Many of them are still treating, even in the code sector, senior coders are treating agentics if they would be humans. And sometimes even weirder. Like, I saw a video of a senior coder that is jobless. There are so many videos of those, in the internet right now. And he was explaining how pathetic agentics would be, because he told an agentic, put that button inside there. And the agentic was like putting that button and deleting 300 lines. That totally exposes yourself. It's like, oh my God, I would never, ever hire you, even for a small scale project after you said that. Because that makes clear that you didn't do your job. Your job as a coder is not to sit on your ass and stick with the stuff that was valid 20 years ago. That's not your job. Your job is to take the past 20 years and push it into the new paradigm with all your knowledge and your benefits and learn about the new paradigm. So this guy was just like telling the agentic to put a button inside somewhere. You don't do that. Let me explain that to the people who are listening who do not do coding work. It's tools. So tools need guidance, basically, or like, they need instructions. These tools specifically. You never say to an agent, do this. You always contract an agent So like he's getting a lot of documentation, context, the actual source, and then a contract. What does the contract do? The contract deliberately decides for the agent so that he doesn't have to decide anything, what he's allowed to do, what is the blast radius, what is the scope, and what he's not allowed to do specifically. This is the most important. In any good agentic contract, you would have that. This is what you should do. This is what you should absolutely not do. Very important. Many people just don't know how to work with those tools. And I understand. It must be tough. If you have learned something really hard and now there is a tool which makes you completely and all your knowledge pretty much obsolete, especially since many of those people are completely reluctant to adjust to the new situation. And that was the same through history, by the way, right? Like typewriter or photography or even the steam engine, etc. They all had massive impact on the whole kind of like society, basically. It really, really was like a societal shift happening from those technological inventions. And it was basically like some people could adjust, some people could evolve, and some people were just like drowning in the shit. So that's how it is now as well. I really hope that you enjoyed this rambling. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment. Maybe you have something to say about that or a question about that. Now the comment section is the right place. Subscribe to the channel and ring that bell. I see you guys in the next video. Peace out.